Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago, and across the globe. Welcome to Real Talk Corner. Hadassa, how are you?
Yes, hi. I am fine, thank you. How are you, Esther?
Welcome. This is Real Talk Corner, and yes, we are back. For those of you who have missed us over the last month, we are back on this beautiful Friday evening, the 11th day in the month of July. 2025. Isn't the year flying? Yes, it is. And I'm your host, Dr. Esther Cruickshank, where conversations spark, change, and every voice matters. Tonight, we are talking straight and bold facts. There is going to be no exception. Okay. Tonight, it is very interesting, the many things that has been happening in Trinidad and Tobago. So we're going to be talking a number of things tonight. Friday night, there's going to be some giveaway. Also, yes, the new feature where you are able to call in or send a WhatsApp. Yes, and the number is on the screen is 7826145, and you are going to be able to call with your questions or your comments. Please keep it clean, keep it respectful, and let's have an enjoyable 2 hours on this beautiful Friday. Yes, you're probably wondering where's my co-host. I think she should be joining us shortly. She had to work, and of course, you know how it goes on a Friday. So I'm going to start the ball rolling on this beautiful evening, and of course, she is going to be here. So take this time and just share the live as we get into a number of issues, a number of things that we want to talk about with respect to governance, with respect to just life and living. And maybe I may just share a little bit about myself as well. But before we go into all of that, one of my good friend and co-hosts from time to time who has been on this program over a period of time, and he's no stranger to us here. Mr. Lyndon Mark, for those of you who are aware, knew that he lost his home to fire a couple of weeks ago, and you know how that can be for those of you who have experienced it. Those who have not, but heard about it, it is so very devastating. And there are some good Samaritans who is try to put him back on his feet again, financially and otherwise. And they're going to be having a cruise. And I have the tickets here before me. It's Sunset Cruise, boarding 3 p.m., sailing 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And that is on Friday, the 18th of July. Yes, that's next week, Friday. The good thing is we are going to be giving away three tickets, complimentary tickets this evening. The cost of the tickets are $200. So during the time of this program, if you would like to purchase a ticket or just contribute towards helping our brother to get back on his feet, it will be very much appreciated. So again, the number to call is, and let me see my number, 7826145. And that number again is 7826145. And remember, we are going to be giving away three tickets tonight. And of course, during the course of the week, we're going to be giving away some tickets again. But tonight, it is so good to be back with you all. So, we did miss you all. And you would notice there is a new background, there is a new view. I want to say thank you to my producer and to all the others who have made this a reality this evening. So, yes, we are here. Real Talk is ready to go again. But I must inform us tonight that we are going to be having a lot more segments during the course of the week. So, going forward, we are going to be here on a Tuesday, a Thursday, and Friday of every week from 8 p.m. to 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then every other Sunday, we're going to be here again, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Now, this Sunday, we are not going to be on, but coming Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, we're going to be live 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then the following um, Sunday. Okay, so we look forward to having some good times with you all. We look forward to the viewers calling in and just sharing with us, sending your comments on the WhatsApp as the case may be, or you can call us live on the program. I'm looking forward to hearing from you all as we get rolling. Yes, so I hope that you all had a good week. We are hearing a lot of things happening in government. A lot of things are happening. The murder rate is starting to climb again. I must say that sometimes we think that government is going to change the murder rate, and it will happen. But I must say things have to be put in place first. Yeah. So as well, we're going to be having a lot of persons coming in and sharing with us as we go along based on certain topics. Today, this evening is really a cool out, lime out kind of Friday evening where we just going to chat while I await my co-host. Um, but we want to start talking. We want to start talking. Some of the things that has really been bothering a lot of us. I want to start with the president of Trinidad and Tobago making a comment that she is feeling attacked. And sometimes I think that we really forget what we do in the past or how we treat people before we are in the position we are in. And I keep asking myself, who is attacking the president? She forgot how she dealt with the opposition while they were in the Senate, especially. And what comes to mind is my colleague. He was oh my God, a cabinet minister. No, he wasn't a cabinet minister at the time. He was a senator, and I think he's still a senator, Mr. Roberts, Senator Roberts. If you all recall how she dealt and treated with him, I mean, this woman called for being attacked. She feels that she's being attacked. Come on, you have been attacking people, big man and woman in the Senate, as though they were your little dog on the side by your bedside or something. I don't even want to say I'm your children because I don't even think that people in this time and age speak to children the way she was speaking to members of the cabinet, members of the Senate. I don't know what you all think about it, but I believe that we need to think about what we are doing because it always comes back to haunt us. She is feeling attacked because we are saying that the president, the persons that she has appointed for senators, they are PNM senators. They are not no independent senators. If you agree with me, you would let us know. But she has identified herself as a PNM supporter over the years. She became the president of Trinidad and Tobago. And I don't want to say much because these days, these days you're getting pre-action protocol letters for nothing, for no good reason. But she has aired her views as a PNM supporter. You became the president, and it is clear that who you have appointed in the Senate as senators are clearly PNM supporters. Now, I am not saying that they are unbiased or they are biased or whatever, but let's face the fact. And I think there needs to be some changes when it comes to how we elect our president of Trinidad and Tobago. I also think we don't even need to have a president in Trinidad and Tobago. It's either we have a president or a prime minister. And I would prefer that we have a prime minister than a president. To me, it's a waste of taxpayers' dollars. I don't know what you all think, but I don't think we need to have a president in this country. I just think that we need to have a prime minister and a cabinet who is going to work for the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. So, you can send in your comments and you can call in tonight and let's have a discussion. Just keep in mind it's only 2 hours and it flies like that. But again, I want to welcome each and every one of you all back to Real Talk Corner. And like I said, we're going to be on live Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. and every other Sunday. Yes, it's a lot of more time to spend with you all, a lot of time to, to talk about the ills and the good and the bad and the in between that is taking place in our country, because really we want to have a country where every creed and race finds an equal place, a country where the crime situation is dealt with, a country where action is taking place, and we are not just lay back and criticizing for criticizing sake. Of course, if there's a need to criticize, we are going to do that, but we are going to do it not with any agenda to bring anybody down or to make things bad for anyone. We are doing it because we want our country to be one that is second to none, one that you can feel proud of, one that you can say, yes, this government has made the change. This government have done what is supposed to be done. Yeah? So tonight, share the live, tell somebody that Real Talk Corner is back. We are here to stay. We're not going anywhere. You know, some people would have sent message, what's happening? You all have disappeared. No, we were trying to upgrade, and you would have seen tonight the view and how beautiful it looks behind me. And I am so excited because this tells me that we are moving on, we are growing, and yes, we are looking forward to continuing sharing and empowering our viewers and letting them know what is taking place, not just in Trinidad, but around the globe as we continue to do our research and talk about the things and the ills and the good things that is happening in our country. Just want to talk about when I call him Prime Minister Modi was here from India, the Prime Minister of India was here. There were some things that took place that had me really disturbed. And I'm going to start with the bad first, and then we'll go on to the good. All right? I don't know if my co-host is on as yet. I don't think so. So we'll continue to wait. You know, I love to have her here so we can have that conversation and I don't feel like I'm talking by myself. But we're just gonna wait. Um, so yes, the Prime Minister of India was here, and those of you who heard, those who didn't hear about the memorandum that was signed, all the goodies that the government through the Prime Minister of India is going to be sharing or giving to Trinidad and Tobago to help the citizens, to help the country go forward. But what struck me very, very distastefully and sadly is the fact that the opposition leader, together with other opposition members and PNM supporters, were in front of the Red House protesting. Protesting for what? One of the things I realized, and I know it happens in probably every government that has been around, and I'm hoping that it never happens again under this United National Congress government, we train up people for foolishness. And because we are aware that a lot of the supporters, a lot of them are, I don't want to really use the word illiterate, but they don't think for themselves. They just work on emotion. We train them up to come and talk foolishness. You heard what Minister Barry Paderat said about CPEP and the many misfortune, I would say, misfortune, fortunate things that took place, and yet they gathered those persons to come out to protest in a time where there is a high profile diplomat from another country coming to our country to bring relief to our country, relief to the people. It was a significant time in Trinidad and Tobago. And I know some of us may not believe that or think that or want to think it, but I am going to get to that part. But it was so distasteful. As a matter of fact, I have lost all confidence in the political leader and opposition leader of Trinidad and Tobago, Miss Penny. I really thought that she was of a different cloth. I really thought that she had a little more value and worth to herself and her name. But it showed me on that particular day last week that she is just as gross and as, could I say, dunce or dumb as all the others in the PNM who have gone before and those who are still to come forward. I mean, come on. a diplomatic of this caliber is in our country, why would you all go out there to protest? And protesting for who? Not for the poor people, not for the people who needs it the most. You all were doing it for your contractor colleagues who at some point in time probably would bring benefit to you all. And praying. Let me say this, that prayer didn't reach nowhere. It didn't reach anywhere. Okay? You're protesting in a time when our country is supposed to be celebrating our East Indian brothers and sisters who have grown from stage to stage. I absolutely have no problem with what has been taking place. Some people talk about race and they talk about the Indian government and they talk about all these foolishness. Let me say this, when the king or the president of one of the African country came here under the PNM government through Dr. Keith Rowley, if the UNC had by any means decided to go and protest, we would have never heard the end of that. It was disrespectful, it was distasteful, and I am saying tonight it should be condemned. Penny herself, if she is of any class at all, she should condemn her action, apologize for her action, and the action of the followers of the PNM and the rest of our ministers. It was poor, it was tasteless. How could anybody at all in their right mind who talks about being putting country first and all of that do something like that? How could anyone do something like that? Could I welcome, I think my co host is here. So, could I welcome my co host tonight? Hi, Hadassa. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Can you
I
hear
am not
me?
hearing you. One
Oh
second. I
my.
think the producer is going to make sure I can hear you. All right. But, I have been talking about the protest that took place, I think it's last week, Friday, in front of Parliament, and how distasteful it has been, as a high profile diplomatic personnel have been visiting our country um, by one of Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister of India. And I was just talking about how distasteful and how ugly it looked and appeared, because it really wasn't of good taste, and how disappointed I have been with the opposition leader. Not even the rest of the members, I wasn't disappointed with the rest of the ministers and so on, but I was totally disappointed with the opposition leader because she was in charge and she was supposed to dismantle that kind of behavior. If you all want to protest, do it another time. Why do it when we have a world renowned diplomatic figure coming to our shores to bring goodies, to bring good tidings? Why would they do something like this? It was distasteful. I am still not hearing you as yet, but just hold on and we see what's going to happen shortly. I look at them and it was so, and then you know what? They go and they sit down and enjoy themselves. And all those poor people who probably didn't even have some good money in their pockets or passage to go back to their dwelling place had to face the heat afterwards. I sure they didn't take out and say, look, $100, look, $200, buy something to eat. It is time that Trinidadians, the citizen of this country, wake up, whether you be PNM, UNC, whatever affiliation politically you are, you need to wake up and don't allow people to use you like that. What they were doing were for their contractors. Was any of the contractors there? Was any of them standing there and supporting what they were doing? No, they were not doing it. They were not doing it. So we need to ensure we're having a little difficulty now, but it's going to be sorted out. Yeah. So it was really a chaotic situation. Hadassa, are you hearing me?
I can hear you. I
I
don't
can
know if
hear
you're
you. I
hearing
don't know if
me.
you're hearing me. I am now hearing you loud and clear.
and there's also some feedback.
Okay, that is being fixed by the producers.
All right. So first of all, let me say, Esther, you look lovely.
Thank you.
And it's so good to be back. I was chomping at the bit to be back on Real Talk Corner Live with our new format and our new way ahead. I've been listening to what Esther was saying. And first of all, I want to say I heard Opinion Box, an influencer, talking about the fact that the same thing that Esther mentioned, that if this was the other way around, if the UNC had staged a protest while I think he was a prince of Ghana. He's royalty, actually. I think his name is Osante Osai Tutu. When he was here um, having a visit with our country, if the UNC had done anything similar, there would have been so much outcry. The thing about it is, um, in essence, there is nothing wrong with protest. I mean,
That's
that
right.
is your right, right? We are talking about how it looks, we are talking about taste, we are talking about the expectations that we had as Trinbagonians from what the PNM would do after they were so sorely beaten at the election. We were looking for new governance. We were looking for new headship. We were looking for new leadership from Penny. And she has proven that essentially nothing has changed. The race baiting that they have been doing, the mischief that they have been stirring up, the bombs that they planted before the election to ensure that they detonate after the UNC took office, all these things are showing us that they have, in fact, not changed in essence as a party, and that they have no intention of taking a new direction. It is very sad. And yes, I thought it was actually in poor taste because they could have taken any day to protest. And the thing about it is under the PNM for the last 10 years, a lot of workers were dismissed. Petrotrin workers went home. TSTT workers went home. There are a lot of people who were on the breadlines and left for dead. Um, the economy, we know it was in shambles. People were crying out for everything, for the price of food, for the cost of living, for crime, for the lack of opportunity, access to foreign exchange, and all these things. And they never once stood in solidarity with the people to say that we are here, we care about you, we hear your voices, etc., etc., etc. So all of this to me is just grandstanding. All of this to me is it looks like a charade. It's not genuine, it's not real. And like one politician pointed out, after they staged their protest, all these Faris and Foster Cummings and all of these people would have jumped in their nice fancy SUVs, driven away, and left the poor people there. And there were no contractors there because the issue is not the um, it's not the jobs in essence. The issue is that we are actually dealing with the corruption that has plagued CPEP for years. This has to be addressed. The only way to deal with it is to dismantle it, to examine it, and to rebuild it stronger and better, right? The reason why that there were not 10,000 people protesting there, which is the number they say of persons who have lost their jobs, is because those people were essentially ghost gangs, right? There are not 10,000 people protesting. It was a handful of people who were affected. The contractors were not there, and there were not 10,000 people on the street. So we need to look at the intentions behind it. And let me just say, I'm really, really disappointed in Penelope Beckles. I know there's a saying that essentially says that you could be a fool, and if you stay quiet, nobody would know. But if you open your mouth, everybody would certainly know. And this is what we have gotten from her. I always looked at her as somebody who was very quiet. She used to put her head down and do her work, and extremely loyal to the PNM. She sat by and she saw everything that happened, and she said nothing. And we did not know what she was made up of. We did not know what substance she had or did not have. And in the couple weeks that she has been at the helm, it has been nothing but disappointing. She has not been able to harness the stalwarts of the PNM, to push them in a new direction, to charter a new course, to say, because they're talking about, bring back the love. This is going to be their motto going forward, bring back the love, which means they acknowledge that the way that their government was operating showed that there was no consideration whatsoever for the citizens and more so their supporters. They acknowledge that. But how are you now rectifying that? How are you now showing that we are now going to be pivoting and we are going to be doing better? So far, all we have seen is mischief, and I am extremely disappointed. I don't know if I can go ahead talking about my thoughts on the visit from Moody himself, but maybe I'll talk about that a little later on.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later. We want to leave the best for last. However, also I spoke about the president and her concern that she is being attacked. And I thought that that was chaotic and so
Oh, that's
silly
hilarious.
because
That's
no one is
laughable.
attacking her. She is the one who have been attacking people, persons while she was the president of the Senate. And there was a saying, what goes around comes around. But clearly, there is no one attacking her. It simply means that her own conscience is being bothered because they do so much foolishness when they were in power and in a position to do better. They try to make persons look small, treat people as though they're less than human, especially members of the United National Congress. So I don't know if you have anything you want to share or say about that statement that
Yes.
she made.
I first of all, I have to say that as a president, I really like her, you know, and so far I think she has in some ways been more effective than the last female president that we have, who for some reason I can't even remember her name. But the she is trying to redirect, and she's trying to make an issue out of a non-issue, right? Trinidad is not a place that attacks women in powerful positions based on their gender, right?
That's
We have a
right.
lot of issues, but that is not one of it. The issue that
Yeah,
people were dealing with is the fact that even her ascension to that um position and the alliance that her own husband had with Keith Rowley and the access that they had to certain financial opportunities and things like that. That is what people was dealing with, and the fact that she has always historically been and aligned herself with the PNM, and people were concerned about the fairness of the selection of the Senate members. It had nothing to do with the fact that she's a woman or trying to say that she's incompetent in any way or anything like that. That is not the issue. And she very well knows that her alignment with the PNM over the years was always called into question when she was nominated for president. So yeah, very disappointing from Christine Kangaloo. But so far, I have to say I'm really liking how she has been working with the government, specifically how she honored Kamala Prasad Bisesas to bestow the our highest order on Prime Minister Moody, and her going along with that. So yeah,
but
that's my
I
thoughts on
don't think
this.
she had a choice. She had to adhere to what the prime minister wants. So I really
Yeah,
don't think that she had a choice. She had to do it. Given up to her,
yeah,
I think she may not want to do it, but she had no choice because once the prime minister instruct you as the president, you have to do. I don't even think you
yeah,
are in a position or in authority to question what the prime minister wants done. So I
yeah,
was saying earlier on, I don't even think that we as a nation needs to have both prime minister and president. I really think we need to do away with the president part of the, government in this country. To me, it's a waste of finances, and it can be used somewhere else better than hosting these people who really is like a figure, a figure in like a statue. They really don't do anything much, and I think it's
Yes, I
something that
agree.
we should look at.
Yeah, it probably is a figurehead that we could do without. A lot of it is more ceremonial. There's a lot of pomp and majesty behind it, and it does cost the taxpayers a pretty penny every year to keep her in her house and to keep her in her uh, position. And I feel like that's probably something that we could get to eventually. I have always, my concern has always been like in recent times, because before you weren't necessarily aware in terms of how presidents leaned. Like I wasn't too sure about where Anthony Carmona stood or where Noah Hassan Ali stood and stuff like that. And it's very, very possible a lot of them could have been PNM leading, but you did not see that obvious influence coming out in terms of the decisions that they made and the stances that they took. So yeah, I think one of her challenges definitely would be is appearing more uh, impartial, you know, in her duties and doing it in a way that resonates to the population as fair and as equitable and as just. You know, that is why she's there to serve everybody and not the interests of a few.
Okay, great. Indeed, definitely. But we want to take a short break, and we're going to be right back with some more inspiring information that to me is just very distasteful as well.
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago, and of course the globe. Welcome to Real Talk Corner. Hadassa, how are you?
Hi, I am fine, thank you. How are you, Esther?
That is wicked Prime Minister, and how wicked de facto Prime Minister called Barry Padarat. Because he's the real Prime Minister, make no doubt about it. Barry Padarat is the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. But I want to tell him that this country didn't give him a mandate. And if the political leader of the UNC and the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago on paper decides that she wants to give it up, we tell her, call her election now. Because we're ready and we're ready this time. I tell them, call it on a Monday, on a Tuesday, on a Saturday, any day to call it is a licks for the UNC.
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago, and of course the globe. Welcome to Real Talk Corner. Hadassa, how are you?
Hi, I am fine, thank you. How are you, Esther?
Welcome back, Hadassa. Welcome back. I had to play that clip because I wanted us to talk a little bit about Kareem. I don't know who he think he really is. This is we time now. This is the United National Congress time. He is fast and out of place. I think I want producer, could you play that clip again for us so that we can hear what this young man is saying? It's our time. You all had 10 years and you didn't get it right. So it doesn't mean that you're going to get it right now. You're fast.
That is wicked Prime Minister, and how wicked de facto Prime Minister called Barry Padarat. Because he's the real Prime Minister, make no doubt about it. Barry Padarat is the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. But I want to tell him that this country didn't give him a mandate. And if the political leader of the UNC, and the Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago on paper decides that she wants to give it up, we tell her call her election now. Because we're ready and we're ready this time. I tell them call it on a Monday, on a Tuesday, on a Saturday, any day to call it is licks for the UNC.
You know, I have to laugh. They're red and they're ready this time. So they were not ready for the last 10 years, Hadassa. They're now red and they're ready. But you're passing out of place. Our prime minister is not wicked. She is not evil. And Barry Padarat, leave him alone. If you know what good for all of you, leave him alone. I want to say that they have been doing a very good job. But it's one thing I want to say to Minister Padarat. A man who have to push a man down to look tall has no height. So don't study them. Minister
You mean
Parat,
Mr.
don't
Marcel?
study them. I got that from a friend. You understand? A man who have to push down another man to look tall have no height, Minister Parat. So let them talk. Don't respond to them. It is our time now, and we're going to do what has to be done to transform Trinidad and Tobago. We are not going to be perturbed or misled by anything they have to say. Let them continue to talk. You want to talk about our prime minister, this Kamala Prasad Bisesa? You can't put your foot, nor your parents could put their foot in Kamala Prasad Bisesa's shoes. Come on, who more wicked and who had gone by before? Who is wicked? A woman who cares about the people of this country, who cares about every citizen, every creed and race. You need to know your little place. That is what has to happen with you, Kareem. I am totally disappointed for a young man. You're very disrespectful. You don't even know what you're talking about. Sit down with your little self and learn, because what you all have done in the past have not done any good to this country, but bring this country down to nothing. And since you have a problem with Barry Padarat, I want to tell you, Barry Padarat will continue to say what he have to say. All I am saying to Mr. Minister Padarat, don't study the PNM, don't even bother to respond to them and the foolish talk. Just do what has to be done and let them sit down there and wait their time. Because remember how Shamfa Kojo says, we time now? Well, it is our time. The UNC is here and it's not to waste the taxpayers' money. The UNC is here to ensure that every taxpayer and every citizen receive and benefit from what they're supposed to benefit in this country. Out of place.
Well said, Esther. Um, Kareem is such a enigma to me because when I look at him, I don't get extremely intelligent from him. I
No.
get I get that he's influenceable. I get that he is gullible, and I get that his circumstances were such that this is such an opportunity for him that he cannot believe his good luck. Always remember when he was on the campaign trail and he is the MP for, is it Laventille West? He would have replaced
Yes,
Fitzgerald
Laventille
Hines,
West. Mm-hmm.
right? And I remember him speaking to his constituents when he was nominated and saying, "Can anything good come out of Laventille West?" And what that statement meant to me is that for the constituents, for the young people, for the men in his community, success is not the norm, right? Um, so he succeeding in any way is an exception, right? So it means that there's not really much expectations for the young people, the young men of that community in that part of the country. And I found it was very, very sad. It
Yes.
also meant to me that I don't think he was going to be in a position to uplift anybody or to change the status quo in any way. And yes, I agree with you. I think he is a little upstarted, as my great grandmother used to say. I think he very out of place. I think he very fast. I think he's very disrespectful. But more than anything, the reason why I am disappointed is because this he and Hans Devines, they are supposed to represent the new blood in the PNM, and what I am seeing is that they have adopted the same DNA of the PNM, right? They are very arrogant. They are very, oh my gosh, there is a thread of division and bacchanal that always seems to come from these people that I do not understand. They keep their supporters engaged through bacchanal and through division. And that is what he is doing. Look at his face. He's very good at that. And he's supposed to be a lawyer, I believe. And what he has achieved, you can't take that away from him. Congratulations and kudos to him. But if it is not being directed in a way that could positively uplift, he is now not a role model for anybody. And this is, for me, what I think is the tragedy of all of it. I looked at him and Hans Devines when the bill for the uh, the vote that they were doing for the prime minister's pension, right? And everybody on the PNM side abstained from that vote, which they abstaining was also a statement in itself. But I looked at him, right, and Hans Devines, they were down at the end of the bench and um, they would have followed Penny, Colm Imbert, all these stalwarts, and then all the new young ones in the PNM followed suit. And I was like, well, this is what we are going to get. It is nothing new. Um, Penny is not pioneering a new day, a new way forward. And I was very, very disappointed. The same thing happened when they were talking about the amendments to the Children's Life Fund, right? It seemed as though they were objecting for the sake of objecting and not actually thinking about, okay, I am the MP for Laventille West or I am the MP for Martin East. How is my voice going to be representative of what the people want and what the people need? And all of it has been so far very disgusting. It's nauseating sometimes to take in. Um, And for me, the biggest thing that has me confuffled is how it is in 2025 on the 11th of July that there are still actually PNM supporters. To me, that is the biggest that is the biggest mystery. Maybe we should try deconstructing that. So that is my comment, Esther.
Well said, Hadassa. But one of the stupidest thing is that he actually believed that we can go back into an election, or as they are accustomed doing, propaganda, having training up
Yeah,
their
well, he can do
supporters.
that
You understand?
because, of
The thing
course, you don't have
he talk
intelligent
about,
supporters.
he
You
talk
can do
about the
that.
mandate. The
Oh my
mandate was
God.
given to the prime minister. The mandate was given to every minister who won, every MP that won their seat. The mandate was given to them. And even to them who are in the opposition, the mandate was given to them to be fair, to say and to stand up for their constituency. But what is he doing there?
Exactly.
He is very silly. You understand? He needs to sit down. But the thing about it is, they are trained to be who they are. And my opinion is, and I've
Yes.
always said it before in this program, that PNM for me is like a cult. They are like a cult, and they don't even really care about their supporters. And if they
No.
really care, including the political leader of the opposition leader, you really think any right thinking citizen is going to want to give Mr. Stuart Young for being prime minister for 1 day or a month, let's say a month, $87,000 pension. Come on, there must be. I mean, it wasn't there before. They didn't have, that policy before, whatever. But because it happened, you had to put something in place. And actually, they abstain from that. So they are saying people are suffering in this country. And they are saying a man who served this country as a prime minister for 1 day or 1 month, as the case may be, deserve to get $87,000 of pension for the rest of his life every month. That is what they're saying to our citizens.
Yeah, well,
That's what they're saying to me. Come on.
well,
It is
they're not
ridiculous.
actually saying it, but you are now left to really wonder where they're at, because Stuart Young made sure that he was not there for the vote, right? So he didn't have a say in it, because of course that would have looked very distasteful. But yeah, his colleagues, the abstaining, said that they did not have the courage to make a decision, to take a stance on this particular piece of new legislation. And it was very disappointing. It was very, very disappointing. And no, he did not deserve it. Maybe it could have been a maybe he should have gotten like maybe a one-time small payment to say thank you for your service. I don't know if that was even up for consideration, but there is no way that he should get what Keith Rowley is entitled to, having served as prime minister for 10 years, or anybody before that for 5 years, or for however long. Like Esther rightly said, it was not even a month, you know? And yeah, but that is how they feel about things like that. Huh? It's um it's really unfortunate. It really is unfortunate.
So I want to take this opportunity to thank all those who are looking on and sharing their comments and so on. And at this point, we want to take a couple of minutes and invite person to call in or to send their messages or questions or comments as the case may be. And the number to call is 7826145. That number again is 7826145 as we continue the conversation. You know, what you were sharing there is so important. And, every time I think about the People's National Movement and where they started in the year, I think it was 1956, I think it was, and where they are today, they have not really changed. They have not really changed. So it's like, wow, they have reached where they're going, and they have been able to infiltrate the people who seems to not have sense to think for themselves. It happens in every aspect of organization, in religion, and whatever. There are masses of people who don't think for themselves. They just, go with the flow or go with what they hear, not even looking to analyze anything or go and do their own research. And that is what happens with most of these political parties, and more so the PNM.
Yeah, that is true. I think that is why, out of all the political parties present in Trinidad and Tobago, people tend to call the PNM a cult,
That's my mind.
because there seems to be an erasure of self. There seems to be an erasure of critical thinking. And what we get is this like drone like. Um, Sometimes it's amazing that an issue will come up and word for word what somebody who supports the PNM will say about the issue, because it is very much a deeply ingrained subconscious programming that has happened for decades. So they definitely think a certain way. My deconstructing was very, very painful. I told everybody my journey started when I started to listen to Philip Edward Alexander, and that is such a shock to your system, right? I remembered protesting in my head to everything he was saying. And something just keeps saying, Hadassa, just keep listening. Just keep listening. Whatever you don't agree with, spit it out. But if there is sense to it, and you use your reasoning and figure it out and things like that. And then I started to realize the reason why Trinidad was not working the way it was supposed to be working. Then I understood that it was deliberately flawed. It was a deliberately broken system that benefited a few people. When I understood that, I understood that the PNM was responsible for it and they were not good for this country. Right? So everybody has to go on their journey. But if you're not willing to listen to the hard truths, if you're not willing to say, okay, a lot of these things that I have bought into have actually been detrimental to my family and to my country as a whole. If you're not willing to do that, because the critical thinking is not in the room with us anymore. It's really, really, really very, very sad. There is no country first. There is no greater good. It is good because the PNM did it, and it's bad because the UNC did it. That is where everything is at. So you find people finding fault with everything, with the laptops initiative, with the Prime Minister of India's visit. They have a problem with everything because that is how they have been programmed. PNM good, everything else bad. Esther, you there? I can't hear Esther. Yeah. I remembered doing a community walkabout in Maloney. And this was probably for the around the local government elections 2022 2023. And me and my friend Lima McLeod, and I can't remember if David was on that walk with us, and other members from the Progressive Empowerment Party. And we went to the mall in Maloney, and we were essentially ran out of that
Let me
community.
apologize, Hadassa. We just had some audio issues,
Yeah,
but
I
I'm back.
realized that. So
And
I
I
continued
want
to
to,
talk.
right, I wanted to ask the viewers, this is their opportunity to tell them this is their opportunity to get their views in. They can call 7826145. They can
Hmm.
also WhatsApp whatever they want to ask, as the case may be. So you can call WhatsApp or call straight 7826145 to be live on the show at this point in time. And before I go back to Hadassah, I just want to announce again the cruise, Sunset Cruise, on the 18th, Friday, the 18th of July, 2025, boarding 3 p.m., sailing 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And this is at the Anchorage here in Trinidad. No coolers allowed. Drinks and cutters would be on sale. Admission is $200. And of course, this is to assist our brother who lost everything in fire. He's no stranger to us, Lyndon Mack. So please, I am asking for my viewers to give some support. We are taking a break at this point in time. Let's go to a short break.
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago and across the globe. Welcome to Real Talk Corner. Hadassa, how are you?
Hi, I am fine, thank you. How are you, Esther?
Okay, so we are back. Thank you all again, all our viewers. And don't forget, this is an opportunity for you to call in and share your concerns, your views, 7826145, or you can WhatsApp and let us know what it is you want to share on the live. Hadassa, we are back here again. And, we just want to go into the more lighter and more energizing part where we talk about the Prime Minister from India who was here and of course celebrating with the East Indian brothers and sisters in their growth from the time they came here to Trinidad and where they have been. And there are some things that I recall as a young child growing up in those days where Indian people seemed to have no place in Trinidad. They were treated with scorn, courtesy. It's almost like a vengeance used to be taken on them because they came to school with slippers, they came to school with, their bag, their little brown paper with their roti, and a lot of advantage used to be taken. I know some people don't like to hear this and may say, well, why is she talking about that? But this is where they came, most of them came from, and we, the African brothers and sisters, treated them as though they were nobody. And today I am so proud of them to see that, they didn't take that and make it a issue and excuse me, and like, cry and nobody helping us. Whilst we understand the part of the African road and journey to where we are today, which is, in my opinion, not very successful, I want to celebrate with the Indian brothers and sisters, the Indian community, for where they have come from and where they are today. Because clearly at that point they would have, pulled themselves together and really supported one another to be where they are today. So when the Prime Minister came, and it was such a pleasure to see what it was like. It was, I can't even explain how it felt, but it was something that I knew they looked forward to, they were happy and proud about. And I definitely, from Rito Corner, we want to say congratulations to the Indian community who are here, who have succeeded, and who some people may say they think they reached, but they have reached and they still have far that I'm certain they would want to go, because nothing stays the same.
Indeed. Well said. First of all, let me say congratulations to just us as a country. I think the visit was an astounding success. Um, I feel like we are a very small country, but we can do big things, we can do great things. And this is what this visit represented. And it was really very heartening to see people feel so connected to a land that they too were torn from. Because, yes, they were indentured laborers, but they didn't come here by choice. They came here with the hope of being able to carve out a better life. And I felt really happy for them to connect with um, Prime Minister Moody, who, of course, is the son of the soil of India, right? Um, what I would say to people of the African diaspora who are struggling with this visit, I want to say that I see you and I understand you. I understand why a lot of people had a lot of problems with this, but this is such a momentous thing, and I think we should really just be happy for Indian brothers and sisters. This visit, while it does come with a lot of cultural and potentially financial benefits for the children of India, it is also a very great benefit to Trinidad and Tobago as well. Mr. Moody, him coming here has birthed a lot of good things for us, and he was extremely generous and he seemed very committed to continuing the friendship and the relationship that Trinidad and Tobago has had with India, as it was mentioned when he addressed um, the joint uh, oh my gosh, I can't remember the joint. We know upper house and the lower house when he
Parliamentary
addressed.
sittings, parliamentary
Yeah.
sittings, yeah.
Um, yes, he talked about the fact that the chair that the president of the Senate sits on, it bears the words from the people of India to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and that was a gift that we would have received from them way back in 1968. And that friendship and that commitment seems to have endured. It also speaks a lot about his hopes of greater collaboration with Kamala Prasad Bisesa. That bodes well for
Let me
us.
see these few comments.
Um, he referred to her as Beha de Beti, which means daughter of Beha, referring to the area where a lot of our Indian brothers and sisters, the ancestors, were from, and all of it was very heartening and very positive, I think, if you want to look at it that way. If you want to find faults with it, yes, then there are always definitely people who can do that. But he came here and he offered, I believe it was two sea ambulances, 2,000 laptops for students, and he is going to share with us a lot of their knowledge in terms of technology, in terms of advances in medical advances and things like that. There's a whole lot of it. I know I had my list somewhere and I can't find it. I hope I can pull it up so we can talk about it more in depth. But there has been a lot of positive that has come out of this visit. And I really want to believe that, you know, our turn will come. You know, I feel like I was discussing with Esther that I feel like a lot of the attitudes that are popping up, it is coming from a place of just lack of cultural and um, ethnic identity, and maybe there's a little bit of jealousy in there, and I could understand feelings of that. But I feel like there's no need to do that. We have had, like Esther mentioned earlier, Prince of Ghana. I think his name is Asante Osai Tutu. I know I'm not getting all of it because it's very long, you know. And but when he was here, he didn't offer the same thing that Moody did. He had the opportunity to do the same thing, and he didn't do that. So the Indian brothers and sisters are going to be able to, if they decide to take it up, benefit from the OCI, which is the Overseas Citizenship um, in, initiative, which would allow Indian people to work, live, and make money essentially and live as citizens. They'll have dual citizenship with Trinidad and Tobago and with India. And that really says a lot in terms of Mr. Moody's desire to, I guess, reestablish and reforge a connection with Trinidad and Tobago in a real way, in a tangible way that will actually positively impact the diaspora, the Indian diaspora here, and what he hopes to achieve with Kamala Prasad Bissessa. It also says a lot that he never came to Trinidad before. He's coming now, right? So it says a lot about how he feels personally about Kamala Prasad Bissessa, and I think that is a good thing. Esther, I feel like I've rambled enough. You can go ahead now.
No, no, no. I mean, it's a conversation. And at the same time, I want to ask viewers to, call in and share with us. The number again to call is 7826145. That number is 7826145. Or you can message on WhatsApp or call on WhatsApp as well.
Hmm.
Hadassa, what you are saying is indeed uh, actually what has happened. But one of the things I want to say, and I paid attention to this, even through our Prime Minister, Mrs. Kamala Prasad Bissessa, they can actually trace back the community they came from, their ancestors came from, their
Yes.
families. We as African people we can't trace back anything because we came here as slave. Our foreparents came as slave and we don't know. Some of us don't even have a clue which tribe we came from, whatever. So we came here, they came with their culture, they came with their religion. What we came with? Nothing. And they strip us of everything. And here's the reason why our diaspora need to come together and really educate us, those who have information, and educate the African community because we are basically lost. All we know of is the English names they've given to us. Some of us may know our parents, grandparents, maybe up to our great grandparents. But you have the Indian community who knows back in India where they came from. They could call the village and all of that. What do we know as an African people? And that has a significant uh, part to play in how we behave and how we see ourselves, with the exception of those of us who pushed ourselves to understand our purpose and understand through our God given purpose. And that is what helps us to go forward. But that's if we are to rely on our ancestors, where we came from, and to go back to Africa and to say, well, this is the village or this is the family tree, we are lost. We came here, our culture was taken away from us, our religion. I don't believe in religion. I believe in kingdom. I believe that there is a purpose for me here on the face of the earth. But at the same time, persons who operate in the African community in a particular way because you're longing to know who you are and where you came from. Yes, ultimately you come from God. God created everyone, the Indians, the Africans, the Chinese, the Syrians, as the case may be. But we have not been able to establish ourselves in these countries, in the Caribbean and other places, by knowing who we really are, who is our patriarchs from Africa. We have not been able to do that. And that helps in keeping us down and taking and accepting whatever anybody else is going to dish out to us.
Yes, I mean, there would always be studies done that would highlight the tragedy of what happened to people of African descent, right? Like Esther said, we were essentially stripped from our homelands. Um, but not only that, we were also stripped of our names, names that have cultural meanings, that have meanings in terms of the tribe that you were connected to, from the place that you were born. We were disconnected from our religions, from our traditions, from the teachings of the patriarchs and the matriarchs, right? So, what we are experiencing now as a whole, as a people, with the exception of a few, with the exception of a few, is the symptoms or the ramifications of what happens when you tear people away from their true identity, right? And I've always been able to identify this is what separates every other race or creed on this earth, is that everybody else seems somehow, no matter where they are, to be very deeply planted in a sense of knowing who they are, where they come from, their traditions. They hold very closely to it. And there is, in my opinion, a correlation between that and the way their families are formed, and their a correlation between that and the success that they enjoy as well. A lot of these communities enjoy a lot of success. The Chinese communities, the Syrian and Lebanon communities, I think there's we have to have a very different conversation um, for Caucasians and white people, but generally communities of color. That is what I want to say. A lot of these people have managed, even in their search for better and for greater opportunities for their children, better ways of life, whatever. People from India who have moved to Canada, people from China who have moved to Trinidad or wherever, somehow they have managed to keep their traditions, the way they eat. Like the Chinese food that you buy in a Chinese restaurant in Trinidad is not the same food that they eat for themselves, huh? You know, so it's a lot of these things that happens that really speaks to why we seem so lost and without direction as a people. And yes, it isn't in fact a tragedy. There is great opportunity though to learn. I remember my dad as a kid, I remember gifting him a tie. I gave him a tie for his birthday one time. And while he was really happy for it, he never wore it. And it's only as I got older I understood that my father only wore African wear and African garbs. He would always be in his dashikis and his really nice leather sandals and things like that. And he was one of those people who really believed it is important to know who you are and where you come from. So everybody in his office, he would ask them, tell me about your family history, where you from, and which part of China did they come from, and whatever, whatever, because he employed everybody, right? And if they would say they don't know, because sometimes these people could only go back a couple generations, he would say, go and figure it out. Go and figure out something about your family, from where you come from, what your great great grandfather did, and come back and tell me. He said it's so important to know who you are. So, yeah, it's important to know who you are, and it gives you a lot of direction. You know, a lot of these uh, communities as well, they have very strong values in terms of what families should look like. So you always find that these girls stay and they live in their parents' house, and they allow their sons to stay and raise businesses, or they have a property not too far away from the main family home and things like that, and they encourage marriage and things like that. They encourage a lifestyle that fosters continuity, that fosters heritage, and it fosters legacy. Whereas what you have in the African community, we always have a lot of people who say, well, I grew up with my mom, and I know my mom's mom, my grandmother. I don't know my grandfather. I don't know anybody on my father's side. And you have a lot of people who have been cut off from essentially half of their heritage, half of their family. A lot of it is from the paternal side. So I'm pretty sure that there's a psychologist or somebody who studies history who can probably deconstruct more the what these things actually mean for people in terms of how they navigate life. But I'm pretty sure a lot of it is not positive, right? So with us having all of this knowledge and understanding, yes, it is a greater fight, it is a greater struggle, but it is a place for you to start. It is a place for you to start. There's an opportunity, like I said, to embrace knowing, to embrace learning. You can start by doing a test to get your DNA tested, find out what runs through your blood. And if you ever have the opportunity, you can probably do a dive into where your people came from and things like that. I don't have all the answers. Definitely, I don't have the answers. But I feel like there is something about knowing where you come from and being connected to this thing, to being connected to your source outside of, say, your religious leanings or spiritual leanings. I'm just talking about naturally what that does for you. So, yeah. And for me to just wrap it all up, I really just want to say what Kamala Prasad Bisasa has done for Trinidad and Tobago, right? And the Indian diaspora by extension, because she didn't do it for them alone, right? But what she has done in inviting Moody here is a great thing for Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm really excited to see what comes out of it.
Definitely, indeed. And while you were talking, it's like, okay, there are blockages, there are walls where the African people are concerned, because there's only so far we know and understand about ourselves. And it feels good to know where you came from. Put in, like you said, put in the spiritual part, not away but aside, and understanding what tribe you came from, what is their culture, what is their food, what is,
Yeah,
you know, what they delight themselves in, their wear. Because, I myself, I love dressing in a lot of African wear from since I was a very young person, maybe a teenager. I always gravitated to the African prints in those days. You get the African print to buy. There wasn't much of the garments selling, like, the outfit. But it is important, and there is this feeling of referral. You just feel good about yourself. This is part of my culture. Recently, in recent years, I would have started cooking some of the African dishes, like the fufu and different things, and realizing that it tastes so good and it fills you up. And then I saw where they ate with their hands, and I remember as a child growing up, I would have seen my grandparents, or the Indian people eating their food with their hands as well. And it is part of our culture that we eat with our hands in Africa. They eat their fufu and stuff. They don't eat with spoon and knife and all of this, you know. So it is important. You go to these functions, the Indian weddings, and they eat on these leaves. And I used to think it was fig leaf, but it's not actually fig leaf. All right. And they put their food there and you eat and you enjoy. And I realized that the culture of India and Africa is so very close and similar. But yet we talk about race and we fight on one another in this country. I think it's time for us to stop and come together and work together and appreciate one another's culture, appreciate who they are, and not to step on others and feel that we're better than others. Because in the past, I am saying it loud and clear, Africans used to feel that they're better than the Indians, a lot of the Africans, and you still have that happening. I know that there are Indians as well who feel that they are better than the Africans. But it's time for us to change that mindset. We need to work together, come together. We are one people. We are one people in this nation of Trinidad and Tobago. But I must say that when the United National Congress under Kamala Prasad Visesa is in power, we as the African people fare much better than when the PNM is in power. Because you hear over and over that the PNM is supposed to be for the African people. But that doesn't really happen. As a matter of fact, when the PNM is in power, for those of you who want to be real and factual, the African people suffer more than anything else. They don't care about us. The other race, even the Indians, benefit more than we, the African people. So, you know, we need to change what has been happening. We need to change our mindset. We need to look at things holistically and really deal with it and stop. You know, the elephant in the room is that we are of different race and we need to talk about it. A lot of people, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to address the issue of race. We need to address it once and for all. And I am hoping that the Prime Minister of today is going to address this issue. This race thing has to stop because at the end of the day, whatever Prime Minister Modi um, bought and give to us as Trinbagonian is not just for the Indian people. Everybody is going to benefit from it. When you see like an African person, the Africans want to tell you, you're so stupid, they're using you. And we all use one another. We all have an agenda. But what is the greater agenda? It's to work together to build this country, Trinidad and Tobago, for our children and our grandchildren, as the case may be. So we need to stop the foolishness. We need to come together, talk it out. Let's be real. There's a lot of underground racist situation that is taking place in both parties, and we need to stop it. And I would say more so in the United National Congress. There's a lot of racism that takes place, but it shouldn't be politicalized. It should be an issue that we have to come together and deal with on one or as groups, as the case may be, or conferences or workshops, whatever it may be. Because if you fall sick as an Indian person and you need blood, and I have the blood in my vein to give to you, you wouldn't tell me you don't want my blood, and vice versa. So we need to change our mindset. We need to stop talking race because God created us all in his image after his likeness. And we need to forgive. I think one of the greatest things that we have to do is forgive one another. The nasty things that the Africans would have said about the Indians, we need to apologize. The nasty things that the Indians would have said about the African, they need to apologize. And we need to come together and show that love, that godly love for one another. Because what I realize is a lot of us talk God, but we don't even understand God's love for us. So this is why we have all the pulling and the tugging and everything else that goes with it. But the time has come. I think it was a great milestone when the Prime Minister of India came here. And I mean, everybody's going to have their preference. Let me be clear. People have their preference. But when it comes to working together and being fair with each other, if persons work hard for something and they deserve to get it, do not take it away or do not give it to them because of their color or their creed. Let us be fair to each other. Okay? And I mean, even when we were campaigning and we talk about when UNC win, everybody win, and you hear the African community will talk about, yeah, they just use us and the this and the other. Everybody is winning. You may not get to keep your job, and actually you shouldn't. If you have been supporting the PNM and you have been there for 10 years doing whatever and receiving money, now that the UNC is in power, why it is that we have to still keep you there when the UNC supporters have been waiting and have been going through, a lot of pain, financial pains and whatever, because the PNM didn't see it fit to give us as UNC supporters and members any job. And that should never be. And I know our Prime Minister is not of that caliber. She is going to ensure that everybody wins at the end of the day. But you cannot stay in certain position that you have been in for 10 years and think because UNC say when UNC win, everybody win. You're winning. You're not getting to pay utility bills are not going up. A lot of things you don't have to pay tax, property tax anymore. Come on, there are other things that are being put in place for everybody to win. But don't think for a moment, please, that all of you will just remain in your position and the people who have supported the UNC will continue to suffer and not get something. No, you're going to win. You're going to come back again. You're going to get something. But give the party who have been struggling and who is here now to make things different, better for all citizens, an opportunity to serve you. Yes, I think it is important. I want to take this opportunity to talk about the giveaways that we have tonight, and we are giving away 2 tickets for the cruise. Bring your cooler, the Anchorage Sunset Order. Okay, Sunset Cruise, and this is in is on Friday, the 18th of July, which is next week, Friday. We are giving away 2 tickets to the first person that would call the number. When you call the number, you're not going to give your name. You're just going to WhatsApp your name information, and we are going to make arrangement to get the tickets to you. So if you are interested in attending this cruise, and we are doing it to raise funds for our brother Lyndon Mack. The number to call is 782-6145, and you would be the person to receive 2 tickets tonight. The first caller is going to get 2 tickets complimentary. Real Talk Corner. So the number again to call is 782-6145. There is no question. There is nothing for you to answer. Just the first person that calls in that is interested in attending the cruise, we are giving you 2 tickets so you can take along someone with you. As we continue to talk, I think we're going to wrap up a little earlier tonight. Some of you probably getting ready to go out to party. I want you all to be safe and to get yourself together. There's a lot of crime still taking place, whilst the United National Congress government is putting a lot of things where security is concerned in place. There are still some ridiculous and wayward, criminal-minded persons who are still doing what they have been doing. So at this time, we want to take a break. And we're going to wait for you to call anyone who wants to attend this cruise, 782-6145 when we come back from the break. Let's take a short break.
Good evening, Trinidad and Tobago, and across the globe. Welcome to Real Talk Corner. Hadassa, how are you?
Hi, I am fine, thank you. How are you, Esther?
Well, we are back, and I want to talk a little bit about the doubles vendors that was removed from the promenade. I think is on Wednesday going. Yeah, I don't know what's the reason behind all of it, what they have been there for a while. And I mean, in this time and season, why are they doing this to the poor people? I don't think they have been obstructing anybody. Come on, now is not the time to do this to our citizens. Whoever's behind this, and I know there are some bad-minded, wicked, people who are still operating under the PNM eyes, who are going to do things to make the United National Congress government look bad. But I hope that the um, relevant persons in government is going to look into it. These people, this is their daily bread. They are working to get, you know, money. School has closed, and some of them have their children to buy books and so on forth. So I don't know what instigated this, but I hope that it is going to be looked into. They have been there for a long time. I heard one lady was saying that she paid the corporation, and whatever the situation is, I hope that the relevant persons in government is going to look into it, because clearly we know that the Port of Spain area is run by the PNM still, right? And it could be their agenda to make the United National Congress government look bad. Because I never know that the United National Congress government do these things to citizens. So please, I know somebody in government is going to be listening, is going to see, look into that, and let us not try to put pressure and frustration on the citizens that is trying to make a dollar for themselves. The doubles vendors has not been in my time of going there and buying my doubles. I don't see they obstructing anybody. I don't see they're doing anything so illegal, but I'm left to be corrected. um, Let us look into that. Now is a crucial time, and everybody is looking to make a dollar to help to buy their books and to send their children back out to school and even to pay rent and all of that. Let us not be so cruel to our citizens who are trying to make an honest dollar. Yeah? I don't know if Hadassa would have seen or heard of that, but it was kind of,
No, I
weird.
didn't. No, I didn't. So I'm really trying not to comment on it because it could very well be an issue of undo it to redo it properly, and to make sure that things are in place, that or fees or proper taxes can be collected. I don't know the story, so I don't actually
Yeah.
want to cast blame. But yes, I understand in terms of what it would mean for the individuals that now is a very precarious time to be without a means of income. So I am going to definitely pay attention to this story, and we'll probably be in a better position on Sunday to see exactly what was afoot.
I am
Yes,
seeing my
I
nice
don't
pet.
know. Yeah, because I know like Eliza Kerr, who is the Minister of Transport and Aviation Services, he talked about the fact that in Vemcot there was some high-ranking PNM official who was selling pies or who was using resources to sell pies for his sister in Vemcot. So there's a lot of these things that are happening that they are discovering that they definitely have to undo. And yes, if the sister was dependent on the sales of the pies for an income, it will cause trouble. And people will say, hey, look, you auntie, taking away people bread and butter. A lot of these things are definitely going to happen. We are still in the teething stages. It's still a very new and fresh government. And I'm hoping that within 6 months or so that we would have had all these issues sorted out, and whatever new and fresh initiatives that the UNC intended to implement to address these same situations, that they would at least be the beginning stages of coming to fruition or already established. Yeah, so that would be my thoughts on it. I know I want to reiterate what Esther said, and which was the most ridiculous said thing Kareem Marcel said in that clip, which is to say that Kamala Persad-Visesa is wicked. I don't get that at all. That is totally incorrect. That is totally incorrect. So, yeah, she will not deliberately cause distress and harm to the citizens. And if it has to happen, it is because a new and improved system has to take its place. That's what I would say. I am
Yes,
actually
the,
really, really happy and pleased with how things are going so far. Um, there are a lot of people who was like, she should have gone to the heads of CARICOM summit, and people have a lot of things to say about this and that. And there are people who are comfortable in their homes in the Netherlands who insist on making the UNC look bad to the point where it looked like they supporting the PNM now, which is crazy work to me. I don't understand how you could go from one position to another, right? But these are just mischievous elements, right? And for the most part, I am very pleased with what has been taking place uh, so far, especially with the CPAP issue. I'm really hoping that this would be the end of the corruption that is so associated with that organization. Um, Under both parties, I'm hoping that the rooting out of it now would mean that in the future, no matter who is in government, that something would be put in place there, that organization would be less prone to people taking advantage of it and using it to fill their coffers and um, to buy votes and to stay elections and things like that. I'm hoping that the true essence of why CPAP was created, which was to make people apprentice and to give them a skill in the short term to allow them to be gainfully employed in the long term. I'm hoping that that is what would actually come of it, that people would be able to graduate out of the program, right? And it's not a long term means of employment. The salary is actually a stipend. You're supposed to learn a skill through an apprentice, etc., etc. The same way the URP was created as well. But all of these programs have been politicized, they have been taken over, and it's like a cancer that has metastasized. That people believe that CPAP and URP is connection to the government and to get contracts and government and bubble and corruption and all those things. So I'm hoping that the that all of that would be rooted out.
Indeed. Hadassa, so you said something there, but I just want to share something a little more, intense with respect to governance. Because you see, this government in power needs to be very careful of the PNM opportunists. There are lots of them, and a lot of them are still in ministry position, Ministry of Health. A lot of them are still there, and they will do everything in their power to undermine what the UNC has planned out and proposed to do. And they need to be wary of it. They need to not listen to the old talk and the cries of the stupid talk that they're going to put out there, the propaganda. Do what they have to do. Get your people in place, the people who have been supporting the UNC, because I know how these PNM councils are going to be operating. They're going to do everything in their power to make UNC look bad, because remember, their agenda is to come back into power. So UNC officials and ministers, I know they have been, all of them have been working hard and, really to get things in place. And nobody's going to talk about the ills. I mean, the UNC, they come out and talk a little bit about what they met and what is happening. But the PNM people, the supporters, is like stick break in their ears. All that they're hearing, they still believe that the UNC is thief and is liars. I hear it up to yesterday. And I'm like, are these people for real? Are they baptized with P from the PNM? What it is, it wasn't water. Clearly, it had to be the PNMP, because something is wrong, clearly is wrong with them. And I want to say, even with the CPEP, dismantling the CPEP and trying to make it more relevant to what it's supposed to do. Have you all heard that they are also, the workers are getting 1 month pay, which is this month, without it doing anything? Nobody wants to talk about these things. And when it is shared, not even the media will go and talk about it. They just leave it there. But they're actually being paid for the month of July. Okay? So the contractors have, and them, they've had enough. Well, yeah, according to some people, rock so and take care of all their business, all they so corrupted. You heard Minister Saddam spoke about all, they haven't paid their annual returns for how many years, and they did contract. Listen, I don't even want to go into that. I really want the people to have a little patience. I want the people to understand that this government, through Mrs. Kamala Prasad Visesa, is not evil, is not wicked, as these Kongs in the PNM want people to believe. She is seeking the interests of the citizens, the mothers, the children. She is seeking their interests. And things is happening behind the scene. I want to say hats out to
Yeah.
people like Minister Julian John and Minister Dr. Rudy Munilal and those persons who have been working tirelessly. You all don't have a clue. If these people get 2 hours rest when the night comes, in most instances, and even our Prime Minister, they want to talk about, she said she didn't go to what it is, the CARICOM program that is out there. She have to stay here. And you know what the song says? Sip water and mind your own business. She had to mind her business here in Trinidad because the PNM left this place in a mess. They have left this place in a mess. And she has capable persons who she have sent to represent her and Trinidad and Tobago. And yesterday in the cabinet meeting, you heard Minister Sobers and others spoke about what took place, and what the meetings that was held, and what contribution was made. So I want people who are sensible and who understand that a lot is happening. Don't take on what the PNM and the IMS are saying. Just forget them. Let us see and let us follow what the UNC is doing as a government. I know they have already started on a good foot. They meet this place in a mess, but they're doing what is needed for the citizens. I'm not saying that all of them are perfect. I'm not saying that all of them are doing right, but remember what our Prime Minister said. She make no bones for those who are not going to perform. Right? I'm not going to use the word.
Indeed.
She's going to deal with them. And this woman is such a bright and intelligent prime minister that we have in this country, who loves and cares for the citizens of this country. You all need to stop. I know it's a little burdensome and pressure for some of you all who have not been yet in a job or whatever the case may be. But give it a while. I don't want to say like some people say, for 10 years you didn't get anything. That doesn't make it any better. 10 years you're suffering. You're fed up of suffering. You want something now. I understand that. When people are hungry, it have nothing like saying for 10 years, they want something now. But we have to have a little patience. Do something, scrape up some dirt somewhere and get a little something to buy some bhaji and rice, and eat that for now. Better days are coming. That I can say, better days are coming. We all are in a
I agree.
position where we want better. And I know for a fact better days are coming, not only through the party, but our God Almighty. We pray and we ask Him to help us. The first help came that the United National Congress Party won the election. That's the first part. And they are putting things in place. So let us have a little patience and let us not murmur, but let us continue to stick together. Let us be strong and let us support one another. And let us forget all the negative that has gone on. Because truly, the PNM didn't care nothing about us. They did not care nothing about this country except for their elite partners and family, as the case may be, because some of them didn't even care about their families. But let us hold some strain. We're going to get there, and things is going to get better. And again, I'm waiting for the first person to call in to win these 2 tickets for the cruise on Friday the 18th. If you are interested, if you are not, well, at our next show on Tuesday, we're going to have these tickets again for you to win. You don't have to pay. It's $200 for one. So if you all are hearing and want to be able to purchase any of the tickets or just contribute towards the cause, the number to call is 782-6145. That number again, 782-6145. And we are getting ready to wrap up as the time is speeding away. I don't know if Hadassa has any closing remarks, but I want to say that, the government is working on our behalf and we need to have a little patience. I know it's hard, I know it's tough, and I think our Prime Minister is aware of that as well, but we just have to do what has to be done. There's a lot of chaotic situation in those ministries that we probably never experienced in all our life, our history of governance since the days of the late Dr. Eric Williams. So let's see what's going to happen within the next couple of months. Yeah.
Indeed. I just wanted to mention that what I would have voted for would have been very different to what somebody who is a PNM would have voted for. So what we might consider wins, they probably would not even consider. But these are some of the things, because I'm trying to pull it from my memory, some of the things that the UNC has been successful in since they have taken office. So they have successfully repealed the Revenue Authority, the Children's Life Fund, the amendments to that bill have passed. Um, Eli Zachary, our Minister of Transport and Aviation Services, talked about the fact that they have made changes to the demerits system. There were 99 offenses, I think, where you could have gotten demerits on your license. They have stripped that down to just six, which are criminal offenses, which are things like driving under the influence of alcohol, which is obvious, endangering lives, speeding, things like that. Um, our children are going to be getting 2,000 laptops from India, and all students who are entering secondary school in September will all have a new laptop. I saw ministers visit the TTSPCA. This is the first time I have seen a government shown humanity and care for even animals. And I as an animal lover, Esther will tell you, I was so moved by that, because that has been a area that has been languishing and in need of care and in need of regulation, and they have promised support to animal shelters and stuff like that. And finally, I also saw that they also met with members of the disabled community to talk about their needs, which includes housing and employment. And again, these are things that were totally ignored under the PNM. So I am happy for these things. If any of these things don't necessarily affect you, it is still a win. It is still a win for us as a society. Collectively, at the end of 5 years, we would have been better, right? And it is a long list of ills that the UNT government has to fix and address. Eventually, they are going to get to something that is going to touch you. They are going to get to food. They are going to get to national security. And not because you're not feeling it now, does not mean, like Roger Alexander spoke yesterday in the press briefing, that they are taking steps. But things like national security, you don't see the effects of it overnight, right? But they have promised us and they are committed to working on it. And I, for one, because I have seen that they are working assiduously every single day, that it is evident by the type of news that is coming out, and as mischievous and as biased as the news media are and continue to be, they cannot deny that there is always good news coming out from the UNC camp. Always good news, because they are actually working, right? So that is what I would say. Eventually, it is going to touch you, and we need to have patience and we need to believe that we are going to get um, what we voted for, at least what I voted. So I feel like all these things are wins. If you're not a selfish, self centered citizen, if you can understand and see the greater good in all of these initiatives, then yes, we are definitely winning.
Indeed, indeed. And so we are coming to the end of this program again. You can call us. You still have about 5 minutes to call us if you would like to win these two tickets. Get these two tickets. The first caller is going to get these two tickets to attend the cruise, Sunset Cruise, on Friday, the 18th of July. That's this coming Friday. call the number now live 782-6145, or you can call on Tuesday the 15th, all right, and try to win this ticket. Be the first caller, and you would be able to collect these two tickets to attend the cruise. All right, so let us remember those of you who may not want to attend, but you want to contribute to the cause. It is to help our brother Lyndon Mack in Tobago, whose home was burnt to the ground. He lost everything, and it's really going through a scenario now that it's very difficult. So we look forward to all the help that we can get to give to him. And, it is going to come back to you. When you give, it comes back to you in some form or fashion. And I want to thank all of my listeners tonight, those who contributed, didn't call, didn't send a message, but you message on the live Facebook page. I want to thank you all very, very much. I don't I want to say a special thank you to Denise, yes, and to Tommy, Mohammed, Deborah, Francois, and to all the others who would have. These are our regulars. I want to thank you all so much for your contribution and for viewing tonight. Continue to share the live and let people know that we back on Real Talk. We are back on this time in the month of July. Yes, we're going to have a break in the month of December, but we are here now and we're going to be giving you all the updates of government intervention, as the case may be, and everything else in between. Yeah. So it's good to have you all. And our next program is going to be on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Tuesday,
Tuesday, not
the
Sunday.
15th of July. Remember that we are on every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and every other Sunday. So we're not going to be on this Sunday. Okay. Next week, I think next week, Friday, I will not be in Trinidad. I'll be doing my live from Tobago. We're going into the sister island of Tobago. Yes. I wish Hadassa could have come across. But you know what? She's going to be here. But the producer can. The producer said he would be able to. It comes with territory. Yes, so I want to thank all of you for viewing and, continue to share and let people hear us. And remember that we now have the calling segment and the number is 782-6145. You can call in and share with us, make your comment. Of course, we're going to try to have other guests coming in and sharing on different issues and different things, even within the government, to let you know what is happening and what are their short term and probably long term plans. We look forward to you all viewing and we look forward to you all um, really sharing your comments and sharing what you think, even about our show. We are trying to make it better for us and for you. So let us know what changes can be made, and we would continue to serve you well. Tonight, I think, Hadassa, you have said your all that you have to say, your good nights and your goodbyes is yet. Your closing
Yes,
remarks.
I have been working on an intro and an outro because I know we said that was something that we were going to do. And I have not figured it out as yet. So for the next show, I'm going to be trying it out. But I want to say I'm so happy to be back. And I thought that this was a really, really good show. I want to encourage everybody to just remain uh, positive. Raja Alexander talked about the fact that um, which is something that I feel like I personally have not really considered in terms of my role to play where crime is concerned. He talked about the fact that they are doing what they can to reestablish a good rapport with the communities. He understands that the police service has a lot of work to do where that is concerned. But he also talked about one of the things that actually helps the detection and the eradication of crime is actually citizens reporting things that they have seen or encountered in their communities. So that is my thing, not just in terms of crime, but as a country and as a community, we need to put our shoulders to the wheel together, right? to take our country over the finish line and to get us to want to go. So, however, you, in whatever small capacity, whatever you can do to contribute to making Trinidad and Tobago the country that we know it has all the potential to be, we all have to dedicate ourselves and commit ourselves to doing it, right? Like I said, when Keith Rowley was elected, I said then that I was going to play my part, and it is unfair for me not to do the same thing for Kamala Prasad Disasa. I am going to play my part, so I encourage everybody to do the same, right? What makes us a country is that we are all citizens of this state, of this republic, and that is my end for today.
Okay, well, Trinidad and Tobago and around the globe, this is Real Talk Corner. We've said it, you've heard it, and now it's up to you to let your words be power and your voice be purpose. Until next time, we are saying goodbye until Tuesday, God's willing. Bye.